Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to complete the last two washes, or the last two techniques, I should say, and then we're going to unveil our frisket technique as well. We're going to go ahead and start with the sponge or paper towel method. So for this, you will be given either a little bitty sponge in my classroom and or a little piece of paper towel, which the paper towels are on your table. Or if you're doing this from home, if you have a sponge laying around the house, you can use that. And then maybe if you have paper towel, you could also maybe some saran wrap or something like that. Anything that you can kind of fold and wrinkle, because we're just going to be dabbing this on to create kind of like a crinkly effect. So we'll see how this goes. So I've got my sponge here and I've got my paper towel and I'm ready to go. I've also got my water already activated in preparation for this particular demonstration. So I'm just going to get my big brush wet here. I'm just going to go ahead and do the direct method today. Take off just a tiny bit of the droplet waters. I'm just going to dip and flip my brush into a little bit of orange. Today I'm just going to go ahead and do just a regular wash for now. And I want it to be, for this technique, I want it to be a little bit of one of the darker colors and values. So a red, an orange, a green, a blue, maybe not necessarily a yellow. If you did a violet, that would be fine too, probably. And so now with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to wrinkle it up, make sure there are lots of wrinkles in there, and I'm just going to sort of touch it in a few areas. Now what happens is it starts to get wet, and so it starts to absorb less. So you either grab a different ball of paper towel or you can try to wrinkle yours up again. And I'm just kind of touching like this. Some students like to use this to create flowers or just a kind of a texture on there. If you use the sponge, it will work as well for the most part, okay? A sponge that has larger holes, like a sea sponge, actually works better for this because you can see the shape of the holes a little bit better. But this is a nice technique when you're trying to add something like some kind of texture to an area in your paintings, okay? And then the next one is going to be the salt method, and this is a lot of fun. This will definitely, you'll need to use kind of a darker value color. Something like a red or a purple or a violet, or excuse me, I already said violet and purple, or like a teal blue or a dark blue. I'm going to use a dark blue for this one, or a regular blue, and I'm going to make it at least 50% transparency for this, and you will see why here in just a second. So I'm going to get quite a bit of color on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and just start kind of laying it down over here, just bringing it around, swirling it around. Let's get into close to 50%, but I think I'm going to go ahead and dip it back in my color. Try to bring it through again just to see if it'll get maybe just a little bit darker. That's pretty good. And you also want this, you want this to definitely have moisture on your surface, or else it won't work with the salt method. So once I have that, very quickly I'm going to take some salt and I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it on. I'm going to sprinkle more bits in some areas, and some areas are going to just kind of remain maybe without or just a little bit less salt. And now this does have to dry completely, and then we're going to rub it off and you're going to see what's revealed underneath. You can probably already imagine what's happening, but we'll talk about it when it's time. So I will come back in this video at the end and you will see the revelation of the salt. But for now, we're just going to finish off with the frisket. And we did this the previous video, and it's completely dry. It's been drying overnight. So now I'm just going to lift it up, lift my pieces up. You can see how easily they lift up. And the frisket's just a lot of fun because you can get a real control with your shapes, okay? And you could do all kinds of things in here. Like I said in the previous video, you could do a wash, let it dry, lay down frisket, paint another color on top to have the other color underneath. You could go back in here and do little designs. You could outline it, whatever. You could go back in and paint some more. It's a lot of fun. The frisket, you can do a lot of fun things with it. So these are the main techniques. Here in just a little bit after this is dried, I'll go ahead and take off the salt to reveal the final for that, and that should do it. We got all 10 examples done, And now you know some really fun methods to use for watercolor painting.